publishers and drive hyper-local trade. Johan is the CEO of Ubuntu Media. He's passionate about the future of media and particularly how the digital revolution will change media in our lives. So, Johan, please. Thank you.
Perfect. There we go. So thanks for that introduction. So welcome to Tech Demo Africa. It's amazing for us to be here. I've brought a small team with, and we'll introduce them a bit later. We've also got a small stand at the back. So this will be slightly different. We're media companies, but hopefully you find this interesting as well. So I want to discuss two things with you today. The first is just give you a very quick introduction to our company and what we do, and also just touch on Africa, and because Sandton, unfortunately, is not Africa, and we do extensive traveling up north, and that is where the real fun is happening. And then secondly, I want to introduce you to a new platform of ours that will shake things up on this continent. So let's get cracking. So just a bit about ourselves. Ubuntu Media is a startup. It's literally the real startup story. Started out of a server room in a buddy's office. It gets very cold in that server room sometimes. And then we were just very lucky with growth and our expansion. And what we do is we run local content portals across Africa. We're currently live in 9 African countries and expanding, every single month with local editorial teams on the ground, and really playing hard and becoming the digital media player across the continent. So these are some of the countries that we are in. And one of the key issues that we saw as a publisher, and I'm sure that all publishers around the world, I also come from a publishing background at Naspers, hi. One of the key issues that we faced as a publisher in these markets is that how do we really connect with readers from the ground up? It just felt like we're pushing out content and just hoping someone would read this stuff. And that's why we started developing a platform that can hopefully change some things. So we sat in these markets and we thought, how do we go from being good, to great to revolutionary? And we knew that if we start playing in a platform, we sort of move one level up in the food chain, where we provide solutions for other media organizations like TV stations, radio stations, other websites, other traditional print media to really engage via platform to their audience. This is Africa. This is the station at Nairobi. Beautiful place. I absolutely love it here. And as media owners, we have to understand how do we really connect with them. Traditional media, including ourselves, if you want to call websites traditional media or mobile sites traditional media, which I think we should, is how relevant is it for them to start engaging on our sites on a daily basis? So we had to develop a platform called Mimiboard. So this is it. Mimiboard is our golden egg in the stable. We spent about 6,000 hours developing this over the last 11 months with some of the most inspiring and creative and geeks that I've met in my life to build a standalone platform. So Mimi means I in Swahili, so it's a personal pinboard that you carry around with you. So to give you a quick idea, I'll show a live demo. There's going to be a few live demos, so hopefully all goes well. Just to explain very quickly, if you take an old traditional notice board outside of a 7-Eleven or outside of a restaurant, all we've done is we've just virtualized that. So you take an old notice board, and now it's a virtual notice board, and you can peg that in the ground anywhere that you want. So that can be on a street level, on a business level, on a suburb level, on a town level, on the world level, and then you've created a community notice board. And all that readers or users then do is they can add post-it notes to that community notice board. The interesting thing is that you can add post-it notes to that hyperlocal board via SMS, Android applications, J2E applications to reach all the phones in Africa, and also via a website or the internet. So without further ado, let me quickly jump to this, and I might need to zoom out a bit. Perfect. So immediately it picks up that we're in Sandton. Obviously this is a demo, so there's not a lot of boards currently in Sandton. So I just quickly want to scroll to a location like Kafue in Zambia. We've got some activity running. There we go. So if you visit this from Kafue in Zambia, you would see all the community notice boards that people talk about. The interesting thing is that these boards are created by people or by media organizations. It's not us that create these things. And all that this does is that in Kafue town, Kafue is a small town outside Lusaka, there's a board called Fresh Goods for Sale, obituaries, lifts offered, or whatever people want to talk about. So I'll quickly show you how people, or anyone creates a meme board. So you just click on create a new meme board. Let's do this in an interesting place like Durbanville. So it goes to Durbanville. And let's give this meme board a name. Let's say I'm a radio station and I know my readers are or my listeners are very, very interested in daily traffic. So I'm going to call this the Radio X traffic board. I don't think there's a radio station called that. Then the second thing that I do is now I've pegged my notice board in the ground, the meme board. I've called it something, and now I need to add categories to it so that people can find what they're looking for. So let's add some things to this. So let's add a traffic one. Let's do it in Afrikaans as well, verkeer, and in any language you want, and maybe radio stations or something like that. Then it's asking me, do you want to create a community notice board in Durbanville that talks about traffic? And I said, yes, please, I want to do that. And I just create my meme board. And all of a sudden, in Durbanville, there's a new virtual notice board pegged in the ground called Radio X Traffic. And every single day on the radio station, the traffic presenter now says, hey guys, we were so clever at Radio X, you can now SMS your traffic into 33345. And it appears live on this board. So that's a quick overview of a meme board, but I want to show you in real life what it means, because I think, seeing this, yeah, it looks cool, but what does it mean, in daily life in Africa? So what I've done is I've created a few stories that I want to share with you. So the first story is about Kafue. We've logged into the system now and talked about Kafue. This is in Kafue. One of our editors just lived around the corner. The problem with this is that the local newspaper that gets printed in Lusaka only arrives 2 days later in Kafue. Then that news has zero relevance to anyone living in Kafue. The second problem is that if you open the classified section, for example, everything has already been sold because it's 2 days late, or it's all in the city and it has absolutely no relevance. So we thought that it would be really, really good if we can start empowering local community leaders, entrepreneurs, small radio stations, anyone living in Kafue that really understand that market to create meaningful conversations. So this is Masimba, and Masimba will play a role in the story for a while. He's a community leader in Kafue. He knows what his audience want to talk about. They want to talk about obituaries, lifts offered from here to Lusaka, maybe fresh goods for sale, and maybe some traffic, there's not a lot of traffic, maybe some crime or community notice boards. So what he does is he creates those meme boards, he pegs them in the ground virtually in Kafue, he adds the names to it, and then he decides what he wants to call this. So he calls it the Kafue Daily Newspaper. And then through the magic of our system, and I'll show you now, we empower Masimba, who sits in Kafue, to print his own daily newspaper with all of that information. Jaco, if you just want to pass that. So there's just a quick mock-up of a newspaper that anyone can print from anywhere in the world using information from the ground upwards. The interesting thing here is that anyone can add to this newspaper or can add to tomorrow's newspaper via SMS. any mobile phone. We've got apps, as I mentioned before, for all phones covering Africa. The other interesting thing is that each note on this you can engage with via SMS as well. So if someone's selling a chicken, I can SMS in and buy that chicken from him. So to show you how this works on the system, let's quickly go to the live demo. And just go to Kafui. Right. Oops. There you go. So all that Masimba does now is he needs to decide what he wants to call this newspaper of his. So I've already called it the Kafui Daily on the left-hand side here. And all he does is he scrolls through or discovers movie boards close to him, and he throws that into his daily newspaper to start publishing. I'm not going to show all of that how I throw it in. We've done that before. So he clicks on the Kafui Daily. This is his newspaper now. And all he does then is hit our print functionality, adds his brand or logo, what he wants to that newspaper, and then says he wants the last 7 days displayed of lifts, the last 3 days of community notice board, etc., etc. Clicks next, says if it's an A4 or A3 paper, and he downloads his newspaper. He downloads a PDF, and that PDF printout version is the one that you've seen now. If all else works with there we go. Perfect. 5 minutes left. I have to hurry. So let's continue with the Masimba story. Perfect. So now everyone in Lusaka everyone in Zambia knows about Masimba. And a very big media organization appointed him. So a very big media organization appointed Masimba and said, hey, bring that hyperlocal connectivity to us as a magazine or as a newspaper or a radio station. We need your insights. And he said, hey, it was actually very easy. I used this system called Movie to do it. So now Masimba sits in an office. He's appointed as editor. And he says he knows what the readers of iZambia want to read about. They want to read about fresh food, traffic around them, community notice boards, chats, whatever they want to do. So he, again, as with the newspaper, he creates those boards. And then he simply, instead of clicking on the print export button, he clicks on our embed export button, and he embeds that live into a website with the click of a few buttons. Now this is where the very interesting thing comes in, as all of a sudden, with a few clicks of a button, any website and radio station, TV station where we've launched this in Namibia now has a live feed from the ground up of community information, news, traffic tips, anything you want to talk about. And then we create these hyperlocal communities empowered by a big media brand driving that. So I want to quickly show you that live. Did I close one? Sorry, guys. Great. So just as someone would create his own newspaper, we go to Kafui in Zambia. And the publisher of iZambia created a new section called My iZambia that is going to call this section on the site. Now we're getting some internet issues, but we should be fine. Perfect. So in My iZambia, he's created the following boards that his audience want to talk about. Traffic tips in Lusaka, iNews for citizen journalism, Crime Spotter, Fresh Foods, Tech Demo Africa, and we'll talk about that now. So all he does then is he exports this as an iframe into his site. I do apologize for the resolution on the screens, it's a bit weird. They say how large the site should be, 800 by 600, and he opens that. And all with the click of a button, there's an embedded version of a movie board into any site. You can do it, Celsi. There we go. Perfect. And that's a live community. Now, we just want to quickly show you how this works. For instance, with Tech Demo Africa, we've created just a demo board for this. So if you'd like to be so kind to SMS the words TDA to 34247, you will see that SMS says from the ground up can go live into anyone's website around the world. And the resolution looks really bad, so I do apologize for that. And that's how we create hyperlocal information. So I'm just going to wait for one or two of those SMSs to arrive. Hopefully my team has pressed send.
Yeah, and that's TDA plus your message.
Yeah, TDA plus your message to 34247. Nice work, keep it up. Thanks, guys. And there it comes in. So very, very interesting things that one can do with this. I need to start wrapping up. The second part of this is monetization. So we've built our own virtual currency called MimiBucks. You top up your virtual currency from a few countries in Africa that we've got connectivity already sorted out. And we ask the readers and the engagement, or the audience, small micropayments to do certain things. So if you want to sell your house and add a photo of that to the house for sale board that's run by the Burger in Cape Town, you need to charge, we need to ask some money for that. The other very interesting thing is that these MimiBucks get shared back to the publishers that we have an agreement with, so there's a revenue share model with them as well. Those are just two stories that I've quickly explained. The possibilities are endless. We've solved things for traffic. Obviously, on really nice Android devices, we've got GPS location, so you can walk around in Sandton saying, "Show me restaurants close by with specials," and it picks that up on your Android phone. Also solve some retail problems where there's live displays in retail so that everyone can remove those ugly sticky notes outside their windows. Now it's just virtual, and someone in Spark can SMS in that I'm selling my puppies, and it appears live within this hyperlocal community of a retail shop in Feeder London, Durbanville. So that is MimiBoard. We extremely excited about this technology. It's built on a very robust, it's built on very robust technology. The interesting factor of going to market with this is that we've partnered with very large publishers around Africa to launch this. So, as I mentioned before, TV stations in Namibia, radio stations in Namibia, radio station in Kenya, the largest radio station in Kenya. And the reason why they adapt this is because they hate the fact that all attention is going to Facebook, and now all of a sudden there's a meaningful engagement back on their websites or their platforms that they can start engaging with. So that's us.
If I could just say, this is one of my favorite things. This is data. For me, if anyone who talks to me often knows I'm really passionate about e-commerce, and there's a few things that most people think you need to have a buoyant e-commerce environment. And number one is relevant content, relevant local content, which this is happening here. And it's nice to see it happening locally as opposed to just being Facebook and things of that nature. Number two is data or internet-enabled devices, which affordable ones, which in many of the places you're in, like Kenya, for example, that great Idios phone they have, that's very cheap. Number three is affordable data bundles, preferably an all-you-can-eat package. That actually helps. And for physical commerce, you also need a ubiquitous payment system, which a lot of these countries have as well, like, for example, M-Pesa in Kenya, and reliable delivery for non-digital purchases. So I'm really happy to see that you're doing something about quite a few of those things. My question was initially about monetization. You went over that, but out of curiosity, I see how the monetization is for bigger publishers. What excited me about what you showed was how a small publisher can become hyperlocal, how they can look at what's in, put news out that's about their local area. Are they also monetizing by just normal advertising principles, charging local businesses to I mean, is there a way that the little guys making money as well?
Yeah, so the interesting thing is that that's coming up is that all of these space that you call in traditional media the fillers. Now those things should be filled by advertising that hyperlocal guy gets on the system, and then all of a sudden it becomes very interesting. Just the second part of that question is that anyone who I have an agreement with can do a revenue share. So if I know there's a very influential blogger in, and he's printing this 500 of these papers a day, I'll go into an agreement with him and say, hey, listen, we get a lot of engagement from there, let's do a rev share on the MimiBucks spec. Hopefully in the future, on phase 2, 3, and 4, it can be a Google AdWords setup where you create revenue if this runs on your site, and it's just an automatic process. But this is in closed beta at the moment. We launch on the 15th of May with those radio stations.
Are there any questions from the audience for Johan? Yes. Okay. Your hand went first.
Maybe I missed it, but I was just curious to know the guy who prints it out and gives it out, I suppose, in his town or whatever. How does he make money?
Yeah, so we just touched on that now. So
I wasn't sure how.
yeah, so we can't control if this guy wants to sell that content, you know, and pocket the money and say this newspaper is costing four rand. We can't control that. But there is, as just mentioned before, there is a way that we're looking at each of those local guys earning a rev share on engagement on these. I just want to make one last point on that, is that these SMS lines, we can use the existing numbers of any radio station, so they don't go and remarket the numbers, and then we don't see revenue on that part of that. But we do that for mass uptake.
It looks like a great product. Just a quick question on delivery to mobile. You talked about delivery to Android. Android, although there are some cheap Android phones out there, that's not not a particularly common phone across Africa. Are you looking at plans for delivering to things like feature phones, J2Me type feature phones?
Yeah, certainly. Now, when we developed this, you know, it's, if you come to our booth, we'll show you. We built this mobile first, and then reach web. This is just cooler to show. But we've built on J2E, so this works on Samsung E250s, right through to that old Nokia that falls apart. At our office, there's like a range of phones that we've built this for, also on any mini browser like Opera or something like that.
Just from my side. So you say it's very much user-generated content, basically, but you want to charge the user to put content on there. How are you going to reach scale or get traction out of this product? First question. Second question, are you going to partner with someone like Mixit to integrate with them, because they already have a big footprint in Africa?
Yeah. So great questions. And when we developed this, that was one of the key things. You know, how do we get content with this? I can't go and create that myself. So the key part of our strategy is that we will probably in the next year never market to anyone. Go to mimiboard.com. We're going to use existing publishers to say, go to my website, I've got this cool new thing on my website that you can now engage content with. And just on the content side, to give you an idea, so that partnership with Capital FM in Kenya, so we get every single SMS feed that they've been getting for the last how many years that they've got that line, is now automatically API'd into their community board on here. So, you know, without being live, we get like 5,000 SMSs a day from one publisher into the system. That then sits on their section of their website. So our partners with the publishers, that's how we win content. People trust them, they don't know us. Then the second part of the question, yes, you know, Mixit, we know each other well. We, you know, I'm in their offices a lot, we go for dinners a lot, and there's certainly very, very key interesting things that we can do together, especially on the monetization part. They've got a new platform called Shinka, which I think can help us a lot with that. So.
We have time for one more question. Any other questions? This one, of course, will be way in the back. Coming.
Can the SMSs be standard rated?
Yeah, so you know, running an SMS service across Africa is difficult, as we need agreements with all of those telcos. But you know, we have two numbers per country: a standard communication number that costs in the equivalent of 2 rand, and then we've got a top-up number for Mimibucks that costs the equivalent of 5 rand. So for 5 rand, you top that up, you get 575 Mimibucks to spend in the system.
Yeah. Just further to that, if you have your own number that's standard rated, you can hook straight into that using an existing number.
Yeah, so for instance, if a radio station has a 50-cent number or a free number, then it's free for that radio station. We just incorporate their numbers.
Okay, can we have a hand for Johan? Thank you very much. We're now going to take a tea break.